Great. Hi, everybody. Welcome to our regular meeting on a Wednesday, which is a little different. Definitely not Monday, August 28th. So we will call to order at 6:43 and we'll do roll call.
President Valerie Reinballer,
Here.
Councilmember Shirley Blair Fuller,
Here.
Councilmember Brooke Burchett Williams,
Here.
Councilmember Doug Katie Fine,
Here.
Councilmember Andrea DeFillo, here, Mayor Paul Gamrat.
Here. Right, and we'll stand if you can for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation, under God, indivisible, with justice for all. Thank you. This is a special meeting. We're going to be doing interviews for some candidates as we have 2 openings in our council. So we will start. We have 5 interested applicants. Thank you, everybody, for coming out here today and for showing your passion and your interest in our community. I think this is really, really important. I've gone through a couple rounds of interviews since being on council in 2020, and this has been the most, which is very exciting. When I first came on and interviewed for an opening, there was 20 people. So seeing 5 is very, very exciting. And I'm looking forward to hearing more a little bit about all of you all and what kind of things you can bring to our community. So what we will do is each council member will be asking 1 question, and we'll go down the line. And in no order, I want to make sure that not the same person is answering right away. So please rotate on who answers first. We'll be asking 1 question each, and you all can answer. We'll go down the line to make it fair. So I'll start. Andrea will start off with our first question that you would like to ask.
We absolutely can. And thank you so much for coming out. Like you said, it's amazing to see this much interest in this. And we love our borough and love our borough back. My first question to all the candidates is, what defines a successful local government to you? Who wants to start?
Doesn't matter who starts, just don't start the next question.
Yep.
No, we can.
Anyone want to go first? I'll pull a name.
Maybe you go to the podium. Is there a mic on there?
Okay, great. Yeah, certainly. What defines a successful local government for you?
I think a community
And I'm
where.
sorry, can you please say your name?
Oh, Susan. That's okay. That a successful community is a community where all the people that live in the community are fairly happy. I think safety is a huge issue. I think nice homes, good streets are also nice to have. I think a community that's not divided. I think a community that, my name's Rachel, 3829 Burnaby Drive. Thank you. Yeah. I think a community that's close to things and has a lot to offer. You know, our community doesn't have very many businesses. I actually think it just has 1. I would like to see maybe some growth there, some economic development. I'd also like to see something more with residential, maybe some building new construction somewhere with some vacant areas close to here. Yeah. Thanks.
Thank you. Whoever wants to go next for that same question, and if you need to repeat it, just let us know.
Start with your name and address.
Greg Perdonovich, 3445 Ridgewood Drive. When I think of the ideal community, I think of safety, infrastructure, fiscally responsible, low crime rate, people who maintain their homes, people who take pride in where they live. I think that's one thing that Churchill does really well. Everyone is really proud. You know, you drive through, you don't see very many yards that are scraggly. You know, people really try to just live their best lives here. And this will be 6 years in January that I've been here, and I've loved every minute of it. It's the people I've met, the events and stuff that we've had, it's been wonderful. I really wouldn't want to live anywhere else, you know. Our neighborhood, I get kind of two perspectives. I'm the president of our homeowners association, and our neighborhood is about a quarter Churchill and 3/4 Wilkins. So I kind of get both perspectives, and it seems like, you know, or Wilkins under the bus, but you know, it seems like the Churchill side.
Got it together.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you very much.
Craig.
I'm Deborah Rudell, 147. To me, I don't know,
Deborah, what's your address? Sorry.
140 Fenwick.
Fenwick.
I grew up in that house and moved away for a long time. My parents aged there and moved to a condo in Oakland with all their friends, and we bought their house. My mom, Judy Levick, was in the garden club. I went to Churchill Elementary. Anyway, we're back. I'm an empty nester now, starting to have grandchildren. I work, but Churchill to me is just my home. In community with safety and neighbors. It just feels like home, and I feel like I should give back.
Thank you.
That answered the question.
Hello, hi, I'm Judith York, and my address is 350 Homewood Drive. Can you repeat the question?
Certainly, my question was, what defines successful local government to you?
Well, a local government is defined by people that are in. And to me, that's what everybody wants in their neighborhood: safe streets, good infrastructure, a clean, healthy environment, nice neighbors, all of that. The Churchill offers that. I've been in real estate for 31 years, have been licensed since 1993. Became a broker in 2000, and owned and operated my own real estate firm since 2000. I also sit on the board of directors of the Realtors Association in Pittsburgh, as well as the board of directors of Primary Healthcare Services and 9 healthcare centers in Allegheny County. In addition to that, I am also an Allegheny County Board of Practice Assessment Appeals and Review hearing office, and have been doing that. So, with all of my real estate experience and background, I think that in selling real estate, finding a community to nestle that in for me, Churchill was the choice. Having served in the United States Army, served my community as executive director of the Community Development Corporation, and serve people every day, whether it's property assessments or real estate. Want to be part of my local government. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Judith. And thank you for your service.
Good evening, Matt Castillion, 3810 Burnaby Drive. So, what makes an excellent local government? You know, to me, it's the foundation first, which is protecting health, safety, and welfare, right? You don't have a healthy community, you're not protecting safety and welfare, you don't have that chance to prosper. Beyond that, it's the opportunity to build community, to go above and beyond just protecting those basic foundations and serve the residents, right? And I think from my time, previous local government experience, we are very blessed that Churchill already has a very excellent local government. It doesn't have dysfunction that I've seen in other communities or where people aren't heard. And then it's also giving people an opportunity that, everyone has a voice and everyone should have the opportunity to be heard and have their people stake. So, thank you.
Thank you, Matt.
Okay, so this is a question, clarifying question for all of the candidates. Again, thank you for offering to, put your skill sets and your time behind serving this community that we all have invested in. I'm very happy to see you here. So a lot of you talked about, where you live, but if you can clarify how long you lived in the borough and are you a registered voter in this borough? And this is- So,
I feel like I've lived here my entire life, even though when I graduated from high school, I went to college and grad school and had my children elsewhere. Now that, what was this?
the question is, how long have you lived in the borough? And are you a registered voter?
I am a registered voter.
In Churchill. Okay, so how long have you lived in Churchill?
Well, I lived here for 18 years and then now 6 years.
6 years. Okay, all right. Thank you, Deborah. Thank you, Gregory. Okay. Yeah.
I have lived in Churchill for 21 years and I am a registered voter.
And if it's easier to sit down and answer like those questions, I just wanna make sure that people online can hear. And that's where the microphone is. That's why it's easier that way.
It's good exercise. We can get up and down. So yes, I lived in Churchill for 7 years. I am a registered voter. And Brooke, I'd say I appreciate your question because far too often I feel like we hear, that people are apathetic about government and about other things, but they don't exercise their right to select their representatives. They don't go out and register to vote, or they don't come to elections and actually. So I am registered, and I'm happy to say I don't think I've missed an election since I was 18.
I've been a resident of Churchill for 5 years now, be 6 in January, and yes, I am registered to vote in Churchill.
Well, I'm the new kid on the block. I've been here since January of 2023, and I'm a registered voter, and I've voted in each and every election since I was 18. Ooh.
Thank you.
My question is, how do you approach conflict resolution in a team setting? I ask this question because teamwork is really important for council, and I am curious to see what you all think and how you would handle conflict in a team setting.
To resolve conflict, you have to listen actively to both sides or to all sides, however many parties there are, and respect the way each person thinks. I like to listen to what someone tells me and think, if I were in their shoes, how would I feel?
So this is not my first go around with the local government. I actually worked for the Parks Department of Hotel Township. And I got to experience a lot of meetings. I would give reports on the park, and it never failed. You always have someone that's gonna have a problem. And the best thing to do is you have to hear them. That is your responsibility as an elected official. Hear what they have to say. I don't care how crazy off the wall it is, you have to hear them out and entertain it. And that's good. That's how the system works. Active listening, like I said, and just keeping a cool head, and I'm on the deer committee, and I know we had a meeting a couple weeks ago, and it was a little chippy at times, but Diane led the meeting and she kind of reeled us in, and from working with Deb also, I know you guys all seem pretty level headed, and it seems like you got a really good team coming there. So.
Thank you.
One way to deal with conflict is to be open and honest. As a hearing officer, I sit and listen to two sides, the respondent and the appellant side of a case regularly. And sometimes I can agree with one side over the other, but to be able to mediate and to work through situations, you have to, one, stay focused on the task at hand. Two, listen to everybody's point of view. And three, render a decision that's in the best interest.
Thank you. Thank you.
And I think important for conflict resolution is to keep an open mind and actively listen, respect everybody who has.
Those are some tough acts to follow. No, I mean, there's been some excellent answers. I think that when I've dealt with conflict, generally I'd say it comes down to two things. Either it's because there's a misunderstanding. So that's where active listening, working to help educate each other on a team and really get down to the misunderstanding and address that is helpful. That listening. The other times it can be because there's a differing of opinion, right? And that's okay. You can have different opinions on teams, but for me, it's the follow-up after that, right? So you're on a team, you're doing, maybe let's say we're doing a school project and you have a difference of opinion. Well, as a team, you either succeed or fail together. So once that difference of opinions come up and you maybe said, hey, we're gonna vote to make, a decision. Once that decision's been made, it may not be with what I wanted or what I aligned with, but then it's important for me to set that aside and say, okay, the team decided this. Now we have to work towards that goal.
Thank you.
You all have a nice variety of backgrounds, very interesting. And I want to know, I mean, we live in a very special community, I think. I just think, everybody has a real love. One of you mentioned, I think it was you, Greg, how everybody really cares about how they take care of their lawns, how, just everything about the community. What I'd like to know from each one of you is, again, because you all have different backgrounds, what are the skill sets that you have that you think you bring to the table that can help us grow even more to the even more perfect community that we already think we are? Of course, I'm joking here. We're not perfect.
You're not that, I mean, we're perfect.
But what skill sets do you have that you think can enhance maybe what we already have and even make it better?
I have a lot of life experience and I've lived in many different communities. In different cities, different states, even in Canada for a while.
I'm just curious, what other cities did you live in?
I lived in Florida, Boca Raton, and Palm Beach County, Broward County. I lived in Philadelphia, Ohio, New York.
Oh, okay.
I was on a lot of PTAs and we moved for my husband's job a lot, and Toronto. So I feel like I have a lot of varied experiences from those places.
Thank you. Thank you.
So I won't reiterate my resume. I know you don't have that. But particularly I am an engineer by day. So I really do, enjoy, part of what I enjoy most is going out and meeting potential clients. I work with a lot of, single family residential projects. So I get to meet homeowners. And what I like being able to do is take complex things that maybe they don't fully understand or they have questions about and be able to help break that down and help them understand the decisions that they're making, how that affects their house or, what can we do to remove walls, all that kind of stuff. So I think that my skill set, would be in helping break down, infrastructure, those kind of things, and dealing with those types of things and helping to make those complex things, easier to understand, for my fellow colleagues. Not to mention just my other experience, I do some real estate investment and a lot of community service. First and foremost, I'm a stepdad to 3 great kids, so I know what it's like to have kids and try to raise them in the community.
Thank you.
To me, it seems like Churchill's in a very unique place right now. We're kind of teetering on the edge. We're a very much senior community that is now starting to turn over to a younger community. I think that I'm 36 years old. I'm a little more in touch with younger people, not that I'm probably more like the older people because I hate technology, not good at it, anytime something's wrong, I'm like, fix this. But, I think that that's really a great way to bridge gaps with the senior community versus the new and younger incoming we have to get people involved, and how are they getting involved? You know, it's social media, it's seeing things, you know, Facebook, it's doing events that they want. And I think we do a pretty good mix here of stuff, you know. But yeah, I was on the Deer Committee, and one of the things that I said is we need to have a digital archive that people could look at stuff. You know, you could go on the Facebook page and, oh, what was this post? You know, just helpful little tips, you know, just something new, a new wrinkle to kind of, like I said, bridge the gap between where Churchill is going and where it's at.
Thank you.
Well, I believe that I have a plethora of assets that I could bring. One, that I've worked the majority of my life in government service. I came home from the military. I worked at the Department of Veterans Affairs and the Internal Revenue Service. I ran for city council in the city of Pittsburgh several times. Unfortunately, that was not successful, but community minded, ran and operated a community nonprofit organization. So helping people, if it's not to get the American dream, helping our veterans be able to purchase their first homes. I'm also a tax accountant, so helping people with their taxes and do property valuations. I mean, it's a lot of things that we just do with basic living. And that's what I do in my career in real estate. And I think that's be a great.
Thank you.
I have great skill in leadership. I have great skill in working with the people in the community and getting things to happen and moving things forward. If I'm told no, I'll just push harder. My type A personality sometimes can get me in trouble, but for the most part, it helps to get things done. It helps to make connections with other people in the community to get things done and make it a better place for everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. I can relate to your type A personality.
All right, my turn. So council meets every month, twice a month. And we have the monthly workshop meetings and we have monthly regular meetings. How many of those meetings have you attended, even if you're new to the community and your years of those that have been here a long time, either in person or online? What is your current participation within the borough right now? Is that all that's that?
Yeah. Great question. I love it. I love it. Come on.
I appreciate the question. So, you know, when I was on council, I don't think I think other than one meeting that I was out of town for, I didn't miss any. You know, and I was quite involved and found the time for it. You know, since stepping back from council after I lost my election, I haven't. It happened, you know, and things happen for a reason. I always believe that. So, but I haven't been attending the meetings. I have been watching the Zooms though.
Yes.
I find it easier to kind of watch that, you know, afterwards for the recordings. So trying to keep up on the business. And then, you know, of course, Diane is a good friend. So I talked to her a little bit about what's going on with the Deer Committee as well.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Prior to the Zoom meetings, I've been to a few here in the borough building. I've watched several of the Zoom meetings. I also like to view the recording of those in my own time. I think that, yeah, that's about it.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I do follow local government. I followed local government when I lived in the city of Pittsburgh, and I follow the local government here. I listen to the Zoom council meetings or follow up. I read the borough newsletter that comes out. Spoke with my neighbor that lives across the street that writes the newsletters and keeps me informed sometimes about what's going on. And the fact that I'm in and out of the community selling real estate. So I have a niche of what's going on in the community, and it's a place that I call home. Yeah.
So just like Matt said, I tend to watch them after the fact. I'm very much a night person. And my husband is very much a go to sleep at 8:30 person. So I need to find something to fill a quite sizable gap. So, and then, I had mentioned before, I'm on the deer committee currently, before we're done. For our report to you guys, I think we got a pretty good one this year, but, yeah, like I said, I've watched them after the fact on Zoom. We always talk in the neighborhood about them, so I guess that's kind of counts too, you know, everyone's like, oh, did you catch that? And I'm like, I don't, no spoilers.
I have never been to a meeting here. I do read the emails that come and log in, not to Zoom, but on the phone. And I read the bulletin. So, thank you.
Thank you. All right, so my next question is, the way the borough's council is set up, there are different committees, right? So we have infrastructure, we have public safety, we have climate action, we have communications, we have finance. And in these committees, there's also time commitments to these other meetings. My first question is, are you committed to be able not to only meet 2 times a month, but when you're assigned a committee to commit to those meetings as well? And follow up, which committee would you think that you'd be best serving on?
Yes, and infrastructure.
I would like communications or public safety, either or I would be happy with it.
I would have to say the same exact thing, yes, communications, public safety.
I would say yes to infrastructure.
I don't know what's involved in all the committees. Honestly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
That's how it comes to me.
The question I have is, can you outline your plan for addressing the financial health of the borough? I want to give you a scenario. Say if we have a proposed budget for the upcoming year and we have a shortfall of $200,000. What steps would you take to address that shortfall and to present ideas for how we could address it?
That's a real, I was sitting down there.
I mean, I'll tell you what, I just want to make sure that people online can hear.
Anyway, my husband's been a fundraiser his entire career. And I don't know, in that case, if he would appeal to people to contribute to whatever the need is. Because for corporations, help.
So when you say contribute, are you saying increase the millage? Or you
No,
saying-
but like, say, who's interested in donating to the new park and have a brick?
Okay.
That,
Okay. And then when you say, commercial investment, or real estate investment, are you talking about attracting new, developers to the community? Can you speak a little bit?
well, like sometimes PNC Bank or, a grocery store, a bigger corporation with more money who do donate and need to for tax purposes. A builder. People like that, landscapers who can have their name put somewhere.
Yeah.
I would look and see if there's any way that we can actually make cuts without hurting any of our major services and without affecting the community by them paying more. I would also look for grants. There's usually a lot of grant money out there that can help with different projects or maybe pay for something so we can use that money in another place.
Do you have experience, looking into grants?
Yeah, actually I do. I work with a lot of grant writers that we get, my Healthy Food Center.
So let me say this, I did read over everyone's resume, however, we are doing this for the public. And so people who are watching may not know what her background is or what she's done. And so this is an opportunity for you not to address us as council, but also potentially the public who will ultimately elect you, and there will be a conversation about that later.
Yeah, I actually do. I work for Allegheny Health Network as a healthy food center. And we are grant funded and donation funded. So yes, I definitely see a lot with grants, a lot with donations.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Paul.
To go along with what was already stated by the previous two candidates, grant writing, I sit on the board of a nonprofit and grants.
What nonprofit, I'm sorry.
It's called Joey's Paw. We get prosthetics and wheelchairs for animals. We're local and yeah, it's very difficult. It's very competitive. Grants are very specific, you know, but I do have a little experience kind of looking through them and finding them, writing them, not so much, but you know, I would be open to that. Donations as well, you know, I really love the idea of the brick. I know Bullock Pens Park needs a lot of work. That would be a great idea. Plant a tree, you know, here's donate $50, here's your sapling. Cuts where they can be. I mean, there's always some fat to trim as much as that hurts. And, you know, I'm sure the finance people love hearing that, but yeah, I just think it can't be shouldered by citizens. That cannot be the first thing. It's been going pretty well soon. But yeah, we need to find other ways, whether it's through development, drawing businesses in. I know we're a very small borough, but we need to do better.
Thank you.
So there's been a lot of excellent answers. And I would just add, I think it depends on the timing and the situation of the potential kind of question. You know, I think it's, if you're in a reactive situation, you know, if you find yourself in a shortfall, then you have to look at the options. And like people said, you know, you have options to cut services if need be, or, you know, where you can be more efficient, you know, raise millage if needed. But besides being reactive, you know, it's about that proactive, right? It's about, let's, you know, if there's a situation like that, you need to find out a plan, but then you have to plan so that that doesn't happen. And you have to work your plan to make sure that future years, you don't put in situations, you know, where we have a shortfall, right? Where we can work to maintain a budget that, you know, stays level and continue to fund the needed projects. And if that means we have to do more grant writing, then we do that. If that means we have to, you know, work on with local developers to attract businesses so we can continue to bring revenue into the community without having to raise the millage, then you do that, right? But you look at that and figure out the plan so that you can work towards that.
Well, basic accounting principles tell you that, assets minus liabilities equal ownership. So when you're looking at budget shortfall, then you definitely want to know where do we have an asset at? Right now in the borough, I see from a real estate standpoint that the old research and development site is a wonderful asset that can bring a economic friendly type of business into the borough. Not to say that I was not in favor of Amazon, because one, I didn't live in Churchwell at the time. Two, it didn't affect me the way it would now. So I'm not gonna say one word or the other wasn't. But from a real estate standpoint or from a development standpoint, you have to leverage what you have. Property taxes may go up. Villages may be forced to go up. That may be something that's going to happen real in the future. And also the dependency on state government may increase. So when we think about how do we address budget shortfalls, we have to plan that accordingly in advance, see what services or assets that need to be addressed in order to keep a budget in line. It's difficult, it happens, and unfortunately the economy changes quite often, and you can't sometimes anticipate those type of changes. But we have to do our best.
Yeah. Just want to keep in mind, it is 7:17, and what we're gonna do is we'll ask 3 more questions.
We'll finish this up, and then what we'll do is we'll give you all a chance, to come up to the podium and kind of say why, you would be the best candidate to be selected to be on council. So I just want to give you all an update on that. So my question is, if you were selected to serve on council, what specific policies or any changes would you prioritize? And can you explain why you are choosing?
So if I was selected to serve on council, I think one of the biggest areas is our infrastructure. It's been underfunded for a while. I know that the previous councils have been working to catch up on that. But I'd like to see a plan for us to do a lot of that work and get things up to snuff. What we're selling our community, what we're telling, neighbors, why they should stay, or when people are coming to look at houses in our community, which is primarily, as we've said, a resident-based community, right? We don't have a lot of businesses that are moving in and out. We don't have a lot of space for business. When people come in and they drive over a pothole road, or, they see storm grates that are falling in, or the community just not upkept, that doesn't do a good job at selling what, Churchill is, right? That doesn't reflect well on us. So I'd like to see, our infrastructure planning and, looking at possibilities of, how do we fund that? How do we get more grants for that? Or, do we take some type of large bond loan or something else so that we can get caught up on some of those issues, like our stormwater, like our streets, and really keep the community up and work to set that standard, that will help uplift it.
Thank you.
I agree with Matt, that the infrastructure here definitely needs to be maintained, as well as the real estate property. The homes, I like to see everything looking nice and good, so it's welcoming here for our community. Unfortunately, the population here in Churchill has declined over the past few years. And it would be nice to build the community back up and have a larger population.
Thank you.
I would have to agree with Matt. The biggest complaint I hear from John and Jane Q citizen, it's always infrastructure. My roads are terrible. Our roads, I'm out in the yard working. Could you do something to send a letter to church? Like, there's only so much money in the bank, I know it's hard. It's just a very slippery slope, because once roads start deteriorating, that's not, oh, one road goes bad, then, the next year another one goes bad. And with the kind of weather that we have anymore, that doesn't help. Also, I would just like to make Churchill more competitive, more appealing. We're losing population. We need to find that lightning in a bottle to draw people back. There's no reason. We have a great community. It's safe. There's no reason that this would be an appealing place to live. And I think that's what we need to get back to doing.
Thank you.
I don't really know much about infrastructure. Can't even say it. But.
Oh, yeah, it doesn't have to be, right?
Community events.
Yeah,
And
okay, perfect.
neighborhood, we used to always have a giant neighborhood party. And neighbors came out and were with everybody, the garden. And getting people together to do things. That's. What I'm more.
Thank you.
More of that, Rich, and say, we'll do that. Right?
Could you repeat your question? Absolutely. If you're selected to serve on the council, what specific policies or changes would you prioritize, and why are you choosing to prioritize them?
I think that some of the ordinances that are in Churchill are a little bit dated for the population. I see Churchill as a more senior population. And then the request to have your garbage cans in the back of your house and carry them down and around to the end of your driveway is almost impossible for some people. I do think that they should be well hidden or camouflaged, but to require them not to be in front of the house is somewhat intrusive to people, especially to me. Some of the other things that is, when you see about Churchill not wanting businesses in the community, a lot of businesses are internet based now. So can't tell whether there's a business there or not. It's not like you're getting a lot of retail foot traffic. You're signing documents, the email stuff. So I think that looking at what type of businesses that can attract a lot of home-based businesses, that doesn't do your community bad. It actually does it good because people take care of their property and they present themselves well. So that's another good reason. And there's a lot of things that as your community is changing and shifting, that you might want to revisit some of the ordinances. I don't want to sit here and say all of them, but there are some things that definitely need to be addressed.
Great, thank you.
I've read all of your backgrounds and everything, but, as Brooke mentioned, for people at home, can you just come up and give a synopsis of, where you went to school? Matt mentioned he's a dad of, stepdad of 3 kids, a little bit of personal, and you don't have to share too much personal, but just so we get to know you a little bit better.
This one I know.
Okay.
So I moved here when I was 3. I was born in New Orleans.
Nola. I love Nola.
My dad was in the Army. I went to Churchill Elementary, Wilkins Junior High, Churchill High School. Then I went to Ohio University for undergrad and NYU for graduate school.
Would
I'm
you
a
study in graduate school?
Speech therapy. I'm a speech language pathologist. I got married, we moved to Florida. Then we moved to Philly and had 2 kids. Then we moved back to Florida, had our 3rd. Then we moved to Toronto. And now my kids are all grown. They all went to school there. They all live in the Pittsburgh area. I just had my first grandchild.
Congratulations.
And my second one's due in January. It's a whole new world.
While you're there, before let's stop popcorn again. So
Yes,
that's my
okay.
question, real quick, if I may.
Absolutely.
What is your best way of communication with council and with your constituents? Cell phone, email, tell us your best mode of communication.
Face to face is my best.
Face to face.
Yes, I like it. I'm good at FaceTime or Zoom is okay. Technology sometimes is okay. I've been set up, but I prefer face to face the most.
Thank you. So do I. So 2 questions this time.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah. Yep.
So like I said, well, I guess, went to Penn State, I studied history, to be a history teacher, and, got a pretty decent government job right out of college, and I kind of said, well, we'll go back to that. So, then after that, I kind of wanted to do stuff on my own. I do design. Matt and I had bought a house, and that's been my job ever since. I kind of hung up the design stuff, and it was
This Matt?
no. But yeah, that's kind of been the passion project right now. It was just kind of like my husband was like, I will hurt you if we're 20+ years in a house and there's still projects. So I said, okay, I will get on it. So we have pretty much the basement and 1 bathroom. So, but yes, and then forms of communication. I already told you I'm the worst millennial you've ever meet. I wish I could have a flip phone again. But anything works. I could email, FaceTime, Zoom, text, call, it doesn't matter. Personally, I like calling because I always have my headphones in. I'm always doing something. So when I have my headphones in, I can multitask, but yeah, any one of them work.
Great, thank you.
Like I mentioned before, I've lived in the community for 21 years. My husband was a graduate of Churchill High and told me how wonderful Churchill was, so I'm happy to be here. It's a great location. You have access to everywhere you want, north, south, east, west. I work in healthcare. I am in nutrition, and I work with patients that are marginalized and experience food insecurity, which is where they don't have enough money to purchase food. We see them come into the emergency room where they're not taking pills because they're trying to feed their family. So that is primarily what I do. I also do a lot in the community around the hospital I work in. And, you know, work with the public library and other organizations to help make sure that we can get food to people that don't have it in other ways. I also have a little garden and in the hospital that I work in, which we provide fresh produce to the patients as well. Yeah, thanks. I prefer any method of communication. I know sometimes email or Zoom is better than a call or face-to-face, but I'm okay with whatever works.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, all forms of communication are great. My least favorite is texting. So emails, face to face, over the phone. Zoom, I am a licensed real estate instructor, so I teach my classes, so you prefer the in-person. But I like to serve. I've served my whole life since coming home from the military, serve my community, serve people. And I interact with a whole array of people all over the place. So I just like to be involved, and I have settled here to make Churchill my home. I have a son that lives in Penn Hills and a daughter that lives in Forest Hills, and I'm right in the middle of Timber now.
You're lucky.
And they visit quite often. But we have no other stuff. I'm just excited.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'll start with the communication first. You know, my preference is I like phone calls a lot because I find it much more personable than just a text or an email. But that being said, I understand, you know, everyone's an individual, right? Certain people, because of their jobs or maybe family, you know, needs, it's easier for them to send a text message or, you know, an email or whatever else. So I'm easy to get along with. I'm open, you know, and I try to listen to the person that is on the receiving end of what their preference is. But, you know, as far as being able to use technology, no problem, happy to do it. But I also find myself driving around and, you know, with the hands free can jump on a phone call and catch up with friends or talk business or whatever. A little about my background. So, you know, I also grew up, you know, serving, you know, my dad was a general contractor. He did a lot with Habitat for Humanity. I was in the Boy Scouts. I am an Eagle Scout as well. So through scouting, you know, we were always doing food banks, you know, track pickups, all types of community service. You know, and I just enjoy it. I like helping people. You know, I'm still involved with my church. I do kids with, you know, things with my kids' sports teams, you know, help with backgrounds for the musical. My wife's a teacher at McKeesport High School, so she's always got me volunteered for something, you know, homecoming to drive trucks around with students, you know, standing in back in their fancy dresses or you know, collecting tickets or whatever it is. You know, they keep us busy, but it's a blessing. We found Churchill on accident. You know, my wife and I, like I said, I'm a blended family. We kind of, you know, decided to make that move, and it was like, okay, we went from, you know, myself and then my wife, you know, as we were getting together, and then all of a sudden 3 kids, and we very quickly outgrew our house in the city. You know, a 2-bedroom apartment, and it was like the kids were much younger then, so it was like, oh, this can work. And then we very quickly figured out this doesn't work. You know, and we were very blessed at the time, just, you know, because of proximity and location, you know, kind of where the Keysport is and where I was working at the time. It's like, oh, here's some neighborhoods in between, and we started just kind of driving around Penn Hills and Churchill, and you know, we found a community that we could fall in love with. That, you know, there was great housing, you know, lots of opportunity, quieter streets than we had been used to. And that's, you know, that's how we ended up here. So it's been truly a blessing. As far as my background goes, I grew up in the Poconos area, moved out in 2005 to do my undergrad at Pitt. So I got a civil engineering degree at Pitt. Had a professor that literally told me I was probably senior year, first semester senior year, and I was like, oh yeah, I should probably do some job applications. And he said, oh, somebody's gonna call you, you're gonna go interview at this company. I was like, what? And he's like, yeah, they, always ask, they call up every year or two when they need people, and they say, hey, do you need the top 2 or 3 people? We want to interview them. I was like, I didn't know I was a good student, but okay. And sure enough, they called and I went down and they basically said, okay, you're gonna work for us. I went, okay, great. And, I've fallen in love with Pittsburgh ever since, this region, I've never seen another city like it. The fact that we have, such diverse, wonderful communities, but we still get those big city amenities, right? We still have great restaurants, we still have, the strip district with shows and everything else. And I fell in love. So then met my wife and now I'm in Pittsburgh. My family still cheers for other sports teams. I'll forgive them. Then I went back and did my MBA at Pitt, and I did a lot of consulting and engineering. And 4 years ago during the pandemic, because of family reasons, I broke out on my own. So I run my own business now. Thank you.
Thank you. Matt, I have a quick question for you. You talked earlier about being on a team and working with a group of people and how you need to sometimes set aside your own interest for the interest of the collective, right?
Mhm.
And you also talked about that you previously served on Churchill Borough Council.
Yep.
Understanding that you love this community and you value the community's input, you did run in the last election. And you were unsuccessful in your, election to be reelected to council.
Correct.
And so how do you feel, or what is your statement to the community to come before council to seek an appointment when the community did not select you when they had the opportunity?
Sure.
So how do you speak to that?
Yeah, so I think if you look at the election result, I lost by 11 votes to one of the council members that stepped down, so that's less than 1%. So I'd say it was a razor tight election. And to be honest, I wasn't sure if I was going to apply to council, but a number of folks in the community reached out and asked me. They encouraged me to, I should say. And a lot of those folks, I was surprised because when I was on council, I didn't think that they liked me being on council. But then they reached out and said, hey, we didn't always agree with everything that you did or all of your viewpoints, but we saw that you were a dedicated individual. You cared deeply about the community and you were willing to put the time and effort. So I have no qualms about standing here. Thank you.
There were only, you said 11 votes, but doesn't every vote count? Isn't every voice?
Yes,
And you also-
absolutely, Brooke, but excuse me, sorry, please finish. No, go ahead. I think every vote does count. Like I said, the person that, one of the people that beat me in that election decided to step down and not fulfill the rest of their goals, so I'm happy to step in.
Or would
Cheryl,
you be
you have-
willing again, whoever gets seats, some of you will have to run in a special election. Are you willing to stay in for that race?
Yes.
That comes up.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you all. If there is anything you feel like you left out or were not able to say or convey or something that you would like to tell the public and ourselves, please feel free to do that now. And I know that Paul also has one question, so give them the time and then you can wrap up your last one. Thank you.
Well, I'm willing to go first. I don't think I have a whole lot to add. Deb kind of asked a very open-ended question about our background, so I felt like I had an opportunity to talk about that there. So, Paul, fire away.
My question is more like a comment and a question. And anyone who knows me knows that I do a lot of volunteering. And so I look to people who serve on council or around the community to be willing to do volunteering throughout the community. For example, we have the Common Gardens, we do litter pickup. There are a number of other projects throughout the borough. So I'm wondering, some of those things like with the rec board, the bunny parade, the Santa Club, the community day, those are all opportunities for people to volunteer. So what would you be, what could you contribute to that volunteer?
Sure. love the question. I would say, when I was on council, I was certainly involved with Community Day. Would help to organize, where I could with the bunny parade, or, when we didn't fight Santa and, always grant us that wish coming to the borough as well. I think that the work of council, takes quite a bit of time as well. And there is a lot to do in local government, and Churchill is a very involved community with their government, and they're doing a lot more than communities that are 2 or 3 times their size. So I'd love to say that I'm gonna come out to every litter pup pickup and garden club and everything else. The truth is, I'm probably not gonna make a lot. Will I when I can? Absolutely. But I think that's an opportunity for us, or for folks as council members to work to be ambassadors and to help recruit, for those things. And then do the work of the council. Thank you. Thank you.
And after hearing all this and what everybody said, I think I'm more suited to be a volunteer. I really am. I don't think the government is probably for me. But I like the fun.
But there's plenty of opportunity.
Yeah.
No, that is, well, thank you. My thought was, we have 5 people, we can only get 2.
Right.
The fact that you're all so interested, that there's other opportunities, you talked about Community Day, as you know, is our big, we work on it all year round, and I mean, that's the rec board working on it, but we're always looking for volunteers. There's so many other things you can do to help our
I think I'm
community.
much more suited to be on committees and volunteer than to be in the
That's-
government itself.
Well, I want to talk to you after.
Okay.
I really want to just do real quick. When you're on council, I do a different role. Council members are on 1 or 2 committees. I try to attend as many committees as I can. But I'm really involved a lot, sit in on a lot of meetings,
Yeah, he
do a
is.
lot of different things. I'm fortunate that I am retired, so I can spend time with it. But it is a lot of time
A
committed.
lot of time.
You came to my house to welcome me to the neighborhood.
What makes it right?
Nobody.
No.
That's just one of the things that I feel it's important that we welcome any new resident that comes to our meeting.
Yes.
And I didn't know you.
Or even, Paul and I are on the, Churchill Wilkins Rotary Club. And I don't know if there are more
Don't
seats
leave it out.
available on that, but that's a great volunteer opportunity, because we raise money to, give to nonprofits, and it's fun too.
Oh, good.
Everything
Thank you.
everything we do is fun.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
As far as volunteering, I would really love to be on with the garden or the community days. I feel like I could bring a lot to the garden because I now have experience in doing
Well, that's
fruits
great.
and vegetables,
That's
so I can probably learn flowers too. But yeah, I would be interested in any of it. I do a lot for the community in Monroeville, and I live in this community, and I really would like to bring all my efforts to Churchill.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Just in closing, my goal is to not come into here and try to push any legislation through that I just want to do better. That's it. I wake up every day and say, be better than you were yesterday. And that's what I want for Churchill. I want us to just be better. We don't have to shoot for the stars, just one little step up each day, be better, make better choices, listen to people. It's really, like I said, every morning, that's when I wake up, be better. I like playing pickleball. And, like every time you make a mistake, it's like, okay, be better next time, be better next time, remember. And that's all I don't want to come in here and be some kind of mover and shaker. I just want Churchill to be better tomorrow than it is today. And then in terms of volunteering, I actually wanted to sign up for community days, but then Matt had 2 blood clots.
Oh.
So he was in the hospital, so I missed out on that. And I just think that, that you were just at our block.
I just experienced firsthand what
Yeah.
you did
That's-
with the,
Yeah, we had our block party and the mayor came and I'm very good at that kind of stuff. And like I said, I'm kind of the stay-at-home dog dad right now, slash working on the house. you know, I have the time to commit to things, you know, planning, execution, volunteering. So yeah, I'd be more than happy to help out with whatever we need help on. It's not a problem.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Rick.
Thanks for giving me the question again.
My question, question comment is like, that, in church, we do a lot of volunteering. I mean, I consider my job as mayor as a volunteer, things that I do, but we do other things in the community. The common garden on Beulah Church Road is one of ours. We do, the garden club, we do litter pickup once a month throughout the borough. So we do a number of different projects throughout. Rec board does a lot of things in the borough. We do the bunny parade, Santa parade, community day, all the other things. I was concerned, or not concerned, but asking about the willingness of someone to participate in those volunteer activities.
Well, I'm gonna tell you, your Santa parade and the bunny thing was beautiful. I had a 1-year-old, a newborn infant granddaughter. We looked out the window at both of them and enjoyed them thoroughly.
You do bunnies.
Yeah,
I'm the blind.
The bunny's not here.
Any 5-year-old.
yeah.
You know, the bunny's not here. The bunny's not here.
And I know Santa.
So, unfortunately wasn't able to participate, but throughout my career, I have done a tremendous amount of community development and volunteer work in and around the communities that I live in. And like I said, I am new to Churchill, but I am here to stay. So, with my career and keeping up on the retirement age, like tomorrow, then we will want to participate in the community and get involved. And that was one of the reasons why when I was asked by someone to consider putting in for this, that I did. It's the only way to introduce myself.
Good way to get to know people.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all for taking time. I want to touch a little bit upon next steps. So what we're going to do is we're going to be making the 2 appointments at the end of the September 3rd meeting. And then our plan is to swear in those 2 candidates at the 9th meeting. In the meantime, if you have any questions, our contact, you can reach out to Michelle if you have any questions. And if there's any questions, specific council members that you want to ask, I think we have our email addresses or phone numbers, you can reach out to us. Anytime. Anytime, yeah, anytime. I've answered questions at 9 o'clock at night. Not that I like to do that, because I'm usually trying to get ready for bed, but I have done it before. So thank you very much.
Well, for you to stay for the rest of the meeting.
Yeah, we have our regular meeting, so you're welcome to stay with us, if you would like.
But you don't have to.
But you don't have to. Do not feel obligated at all.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, so this is the section of the meeting where we have public comments. Are we gonna be able to hear them, Michelle? Gavin, can you do a test?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Perfect. All right, awesome. Thank you. So we'll do comments. If we'll start with anybody in the room, if you would like if you like to say a comment, please come up to the podium, state your name, your address, and you have 3 minutes.
Good evening, my name is Kathy Gordner and I live at 1926 Hampstead Drive. And I want to encourage you to, well, first of all, I want to say I am so incredibly impressed that you had 5 really good applicants. That's just wonderful that you have these 5 people and they all sound like they have strong backgrounds and would be assets. But I want to encourage you to reappoint Matt to the council, Matt Castiglia. Matt is qualified to serve on the council. You know that because he served in the past. When he was on the council, I didn't agree with everything he did, but I did find that Matt was really good at handling complicated issues. And just one example is the sewer deal where, you are trying to assess the, uh, the status of.
Power line at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it just so happens there was a big truck in front of my house today and they were out in the back, at the manhole trying to, do something which they apparently figured out with that camera. My husband and I went to the meeting on that and Matt and, our Alex, our former, borough manager, was really good at explaining what was going on. And Matt was able to explain something that difficult at a level that someone who's not an engineer could understand. You also asked about dealing with conflict on the council. I don't like to see when everybody just agrees and agrees and agrees. I rather see when people on the council don't agree and can have those hard discussions in front of the public. And I think Matt did that several times. And I want to say that he mentioned that people contacted him about running. I'm one of those people. And you all know that during Amazon, I was one of those people who, you guys, you're driving me crazy, don't vote for this. And there were other people who were very opposed to Amazon. But since that time, a group of us watched the council meetings and we text each other. And people in that, I'm not the only person in that group who have said, it would be great to have Matt back on the council. So, what happened then, many of us have put it behind us and we want to work with you guys. And we think that you're a great, strong council. We think every one of you bring a lot to the table. And we think that I think, and I know there's other people in that group who feel like Matt would add to that. So I encourage you to vote for him. I do want to thank Diane Law and Jake Warren, who are not here for their service and time. And I also want to thank the police department for how they handled, I spoke to the chief earlier. There was an incident at the intersection of Lewin Lane and Beulah Road in the middle of the night a couple of weeks ago, and you might have heard about it, where they called out SWAT, and they did a terrific job. My husband and I were up, till like 3 or 4 a.m., but the police did a great job and nobody got hurt. So I wanted to publicly thank the police department for that.
We're very fortunate to have the police officers and our chief that they're just terrific.
Yeah.
I think sometimes we just take them for granted because they're doing their jobs, but they're fantastic.
Yeah.
And I appreciate you giving a shout out to them.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much, Kathy.
Thank you.
Anybody else in the room that would like to say a comment? Nope. All right, we'll move online. Has anybody raised their hands? If you would like to make a comment, please raise your hand. And we will promote you so that you're able to speak. Been promoted, you can now speak. Give 1 more minute. 30 seconds. You see us swatting, there's a fly that's like roaming all around us. And we all like kind of swatted it at some point in time.
If you would like to speak online, you please raise your hand and keep it up. I did it twice, then it went up, down, went up. So. Oh, wait. We did it again. Okay, Mr. DeParma, you've been promoted to talk. You may unmute yourself. Hello?
Hello,
Hi. Please state your name and address.
My name is Jim DePerna. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Oh, good. Can you see me? I can't. I'm not sure what goes through on this transmission right away.
That's okay, we can see you. We can just please state your address too when you get a chance.
1616 Branning Road.
Thank you.
Okay, and I was wondering, I had sent in a letter questioning the payment of $21,000 for 3 EV charging stations, and I was told that it was free money and don't bother us because someday we're going to have people lined up outside to use those charging stations. And I can tell you, my neighbor bought an electric car, and he's not going to be one of them because he has one in his house. So, in any event, I just want to repeat that I think there's a questionable payment, and that there were other things you could have spent that money on, like a light timing system at the corner of Lewin Lane and Greensburg Pike. But I don't want to. That's water over the dam since it's already installed. The thing I really would like to talk to you about, and I sent you folks a video. I don't know if did any of you watch the video, and to show that there is a body of scientific opinion that thinks that climate change is somewhat of a farce, and and these are very reputable scientists, by the way, as you would see if you. I don't know. Did anybody watch the video? I sent it to everybody on council.
I did.
Did anybody?
Yes.
Okay, good. So now, whether you agree or not, it does give you some idea of the depth of the opposition to the global warming, climate change fantasy, which some people think it's a fantasy. So, but the thing I want to talk to you about is what Churchill is, how we are sort of encouraging a thought of this global warming, climate change scenario, and with our, I don't know if you can see it or not, but this is one of the blurbs that our scientific committees put out in May about electric light bulb usage, and it's riddled with technical errors. The basic one is that
I'm sorry, the 3 minutes are up. I do want to say, I think your comment, usually in this part of the section, it's not a back and forth of having a conversation regarding what you have brought up or anything that anybody brings up. That could usually be addressed one-on-one or at the end of the meeting. However, I know that my fellow council member, Deb Klein, does have a couple comments, so I will allow you to state a few things. And then if there's any additional things.
well, I'm here to represent the Republican committee,
I understand, and everybody gets the right to 3 minutes, and I'm gonna have council member Deb Klein say her comments, and then after the meeting, you're welcome to email and reach out to any of us for further conversation. Thank you.
Yeah, Jim, and I've seen your emails. I'm really the person, if you want to say, responsible for these EVs. And this started with, I'm the chair of the Climate Action Committee, and we work very closely with a nonprofit called Connect. And what Connect does is they connect municipalities together so we can work together to perhaps get grants or whatever. And a lot of times you'll get a better shot at a grant if you're working together. That said, it just happened that they got if you want to call free grant to install these EV chargers. It did not cost the taxpayers a penny. And it was just kind of like, do you want them or do you not? Now, yes, let's face it, there's a small number of people in our borough that have electric vehicles. However, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, that number is going to keep growing and growing and growing. And for us to say no to something that's free, that's not going to cost the borough a thing, and we're kind of looking, we're more forward thinking than in 10 years when everybody comes back to us and says, oh, you know, where can we charge our electric vehicles? Yes, some people have them in their own yards, but I mean, occasionally I've seen people go there and charge it. It's almost just like a nice free service to anyone who has a vehicle. And again, I can't stress enough, it didn't, we would never even consider it if it was gonna cost taxpayer money, because we're not there yet to say, hey, we're gonna charge you for this because we want this. But because I've worked so closely with them and our climate action committee, and they were giving it to us, it would have been crazy just to say no. Because mark my words, 10 years from now, you're gonna see a lot of electric vehicles on the road. As far as your video and climate change, you can get scientists who say one thing and scientists who say another thing. And I think as citizens, we have to decide what we think is happening. I'm not a scientist. I believe there is climate change, but I know there are a lot of people that don't. And I do appreciate your video, but I just wanted to clarify. And again, we don't usually go back and forth, but for any resident out there that was wondering, this cost us anything or what, you know, do we take it out of our budget when we could have been using? It was nothing, and it was a gift to us. So
Thank you for
You know,
clarifying that.
remember what I suggested to you, that Churchill residents pay state taxes too. You know, there's no such thing as free money.
I don't want to keep going back and forth. That's not part of the public comment section. I welcome any comments or any other discussion after the meeting, and you can reach out to us. I would really appreciate that. Thank you. Are there any other people online that would like to comment? You can raise your hand if you would like a comment, please. Oh, okay. Okay, all right, we will close public comments.
okay, Madam President, I have to a motion to accept the meeting minutes from the July 8th, 2024 regular meeting of council.
Second. Any comment? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And it passes. Mayor, your report?
Thank you, Madam President. Chief has reported to me that during the month of July, there were three incidents of significance that took place. Details are as follows. Our officers handled a total of 952 events for the month, 6,692 year to date, consisting of calls for service and drug and patrol engagements and details affecting 4 arrests. The department's 4 police vehicles logged a total of 4,754 combined year-to-date total is 30,829 miles. Car number 9, the 2013 Ford Taurus sedan is still out of service. 2024 Dodge Durango SUV is still being prepared. Let me back up a second because on road test, things have changed a little bit. Car number 9 is now being used by Scott Stonebreaker as a code enforcement vehicle. And new 2024 is in service.
Oh, good, good, good,
So
good.
it's on the road.
We're all good for now.
20 knows miles. The ticket summary for the month of June 24 was 34, 1 traffic ticket, 8 parking tickets, 25 traffic. On July 7th, approximately 2:20 a.m., officers assisted the Swissville Police Department who were in pursuit of the stolen vehicle which had exited I-379 at Greensburg Pike, exit 79A. The vehicle continued down on the 2300 block of Marbury Road to the dead end. While fleeing the vehicle on foot, the actor discarded a rifle into the wooded area nearby, which was later recovered by officers. The actor hid in the wooded area between Marbury and Woodside Roads in Forest Hill and was eventually peacefully surrendered to the police. 2 days later, a resident on the 2300 block of Marbury Road called to report that her children were playing in the front yard and discovered a handgun lying in the grass. Churchill officers recovered the weapon, which was later determined to have been discarded from the stolen vehicle package. On July 18th at approximately 9:30 p.m., Churchill officers assisted Forest Hills police officers on Glasgow Road with a reported adult male who was intoxicated and experiencing psychological issues. Family reported that the male was armed with a handgun and had already discharged the weapon into the air prior to the police arriving. First arriving officers encountered the individual sitting in the front yard of the residence. Officers made verbal contact with the individual as they approached him. He reared himself with a handgun which was lying in the grass next to him, forcing the officers to use deadly force. Allegheny County Police homicide detectives are currently handling the investigation. A third incident occurred on July 20th at approximately 11:09 p.m. when Churchill officers responded to a hit-and-run crash involving an intoxicated driver. As officers arrived on the scene, the adult male actor had forced his way into a nearby residence to elude police. The residents of the home fled on foot to safety, and officers established a perimeter around the residence. Officers made several attempts to hail the actor out of the home, all of which proved unsuccessful. Allegheny County Police SWAT was eventually deployed, and after several failed attempts to negotiate with the actor, SWAT officers made entry into the home and took the actor into custody without incident. Violence of use of force custody was the actor without incident or violence or use of force. Custody of the actor was then relinquished to our agency, where he was lodged in the Allegheny County Jail on multiple charges stemming from the incident, as well as an outstanding felony arrest warrants and other agencies. Officer Zachary Janako is our newest member of the department. He came to us from Indiana Township Police Department and began his field training in the borough. He is making exceptional progress to date. All indications are that Officer Janako will be an excellent fit with our agency, and we expected to uphold the high standards of public service that is expected from all officers under the chief's command. And update that also, Officer Janako is nearing the end of his field training. He's out on a car by himself now, and the chief told me he's getting nothing but good reports in that situation.
So that's great.
And also I have received several messages from residents this month applauding our officers for their work. One was from a resident on Churchill Road regarding suspicious lights flashing on a neighbor's parked car. The second was from a resident on Skate Block. Our officers were investigating when the residents reported that they were on vacation. The officers spotted a car in the driveway. As it turned out, the residents were delayed in leaving for the vacation. The officers saw them and came to like, what are you doing here? And I don't know how many people know this, but if you go on vacation, you can call our police department. Let them know you're on vacation. They will keep like an extra eye on your residents. And in doing so, these residents had delayed their leaving. Our officers saw them out there in the car in the driveway, so they stopped like, hey, what are you doing here? So all is well that ended. And I have some other things. These are just, I can't read all these letters, but a lot of letters from residents recently this month about different things that our police officers did that they were happy about and wanted to let us know that that's taking place. So,
Thank you.
and my last thing, details and other related statistics concerning the police department during the month of July 24 are reported on the attached police department reports.
Thank you so much. So just wanted to make a comment about the mayor's report. I was the individual on Marbury Green who found, or my children found the weapon. And luckily, my children were smart enough not to pick it up and come into the house and tell us what was going on. And I was kind of like, are you sure? And we went outside and it was real. So I'm going to ask, as council president, did you have any knowledge of the pursuit that happened on Marbury Road? And did you have any knowledge of what happened on Google Road? And how was that communicated to council? To let other council members know of these pressing emergency situations that were happening.
So unfortunately, I was out of the country when all of this happened, so I have no access to email.
That we're not aware.
I mean, I got emails, and I know that the borough manager got email and other staff got emails about it, but I got an email, but I was not back.
So what I'm going to probably suggest, I suggested this, amongst, council privately. That when there are emergency situations that happen in the borough, pursuits, things that involve, our officers, whether it's Churchill or other communities. At the time of the emergency, the officers need to be focused on de-escalating that situation and addressing that emergency. But once that emergency is resolved, council members need to know what is going on, just so we're aware of what our police officers are involved in. So we're aware of what's happening in the community around our homes.
Absolutely.
To notify other neighbors and, families to prevent any tragic accident that could have happened.
Absolutely. Speak.
Yeah.
President becomes leader. So I do know after, two of the incidents that the mayor was speaking, the chief did send.
Yeah, yeah,
email
he did.
update, the
He did.
update the council members and, key staff. So the chief did send update.
And I know also last time we met, at one of our last meetings, I can't remember, where you did bring that up privately. The chief took that comment and said, moving forward from that moment on, that he will be communicating. So thank you for bringing that up to the public, and that has been addressed internally.
So what the chief actually said is that he communicated or had communicated to council president, and then council president could determine how it was.
Correct, and then he said, and then we all decided that moving forward, we would communicate with all of council from that moment on.
And so what I'm just going to say again, is I'm going to make the request that we follow through on that, because the only incident that I was aware of was Google Road, nothing else. So I would just like for those type of incidents.
Yeah, absolutely, everybody needs to be aware. Thank you.
I would like to make or there.
Just what, I was aware that it was in your yard, and I applaud you kids for not picking that weapon up.
Absolutely.
And in the past, when we're doing litter pickups, we come across weapons that have been discarded out of the vehicle.
Yeah.
And according to the police, don't touch it.
Yeah.
It could be loaded, could actually go off. It could, have been a stolen gun, has fingerprints on it. So you want to preserve anything that's laying right. So they did the right thing by letting you know. And you're right, especially if there's a pursuit, and we know people are running through the borough, something like that, maybe West residents should be aware of, especially in the area like down on Marbury. If you find something, there's a possibility that you can find something. Be very careful, leave alone, don't touch it, contact the police.
Let's think of creative ways in the communication committee of, addressing that for residents specifically.
And I would also like, if you do find a weapon, there is a non-emergency number that you can call to reach our police department, and they answer it like that. And they will come and address whatever issue, the community is facing. So you don't necessarily have to call 911 to get it resolved, call a non-emergency.
But it is important, don't pick up that.
Yeah. Yes. Are there any additional comments? Okay, so then I would like to make a motion to accept the mayor's report for August 20.
Second. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And it passes. Moving on to the treasurer's report.
Motion to accept treasurer's report July 31st, 2024, and directing the finance officer to pay the bills for the borough of Churchill accrued since July 9th, 2024. And like normal, I will go through the bigger bills. So we have Alka Sand at $163,906.55. Bigliotti at $32,789. Gateway at $32,170.45. Traffic System and Services at $23,911.50. State Pipe Services for $20,473.63. Solar Construction, $17,905.50. Tax collector refunds, $5,465.89. And last, Tucker attorneys at $5,086.
Second. Any comments? All in favor?
Hi.
Opposed? And it passes. Thank you, Angela. Moving on to our action item, Shirley.
Madam President, I make a motion to approve new hire agreement with Zachary Monaco and the Churchill Police Association.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any, thoughts? Yes, please.
So with the hiring of Officer Tanako in July 8th, council to hire him. Part of this agreement, he was to receive 2 installations of 2,500 in the beginning, once he was going to pass like his psychological examination, background, physical, all of that. So he did pass all of those. So he's received $2,500, which is part of that. And then at the end, once he is done with his 12 months of hire, he'll receive the other $2,500. And this is all through a grant that he applied for with the federal government.
Thank you. Any other discussion?
I have a question. Has the new officer signed and returned the conditional offer of employment? Because in the binder, I just saw a letter with his signature on it. And he also signed the new hire agreement as well. And then a follow-up question. A part of the new hire agreement and also the conditional offer of employment is that, the employment is subject to the terms of the CBA, which is the collective bargaining agreement. And what is the status of that negotiation? Where do we stand with that?
Can I just jump, excuse me, can I just jump in on that?
Yep.
Any discussion about the CBA should really take place in executive session.
You didn't invite officer. You're not going to next meeting council.
So do we want to hold?
Is there any discussion? Any other discussion? No. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? And it passes. Moving on to our next action item.
Madam President, motion to approve the authorization and implementation of a commercial card program with Huntington National Bank, noting Ashley Brown, Finance Director, as the individual authorized to execute the card agreement.
I can comment on this as well.
Yep.
This is something that Huntington is requiring as the moving through the motions to go with them. We had purchasing cars PNC that Ashley Finance Officer was authorized to meet with it. So they just want documentation showing that council approves that she does have this authority to do it with them as well.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And it passes. And our last action item.
Motion to adopt resolution 4606, approving an application to the Commonwealth Finance Authority multimodal grant program to be used for the Churchill Wilkins traffic signal and intersection improvements.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Yep.
This grant, and also Dennis
Ready.
can elaborate on it as well, if I miss anything, but this grant, we would work collaboratively with Wilkins Township for the multimodal transportation fund to replace all crosswalks and traffic lights, making sure that all crosswalks are ADA accessible and compliant, all of the traffic lights are updated on, Yola down to Brown. So that would include Grady, William Penn, Churchill, Brown. And I forget that intersection. Yeah, the one at Brown. Those lights have not been updated since the 60s. So, you know, they need to be updated.
Talk about we even have the ADA line and crosswalks available. So whenever we were doing some of the rough numbers, traffic lights aren't that cheap. So it would be roughly $1.6 million to do traffic lights and the ADA line crosswalks. Things like with the lights and the noise, correct?
Yeah, so that would be all told, one of the biggest expenses, because they would require mast arms be installed as opposed to the wires that you see now. That's probably your largest cost associated with it, but it is getting them all up to date based on all
Another
standards.
feature too would that they would be synchronized as well.
Yeah, being that was something that came to, came up previously in some of the traffic evaluations. And this would be a way to get it synchronized and have grant funding to help it.
I have a question. What are we asking for the grant amount?
So we asked for it to be fully funded at 1.6. Did do a 5% contribution. So with the 5%, that'd be 88 with Wilkins and Churchill. It doesn't mean we'll get the full amount, but it's a possibility with the FPF grant. This is the DCD and the Commonwealth Finance Board determines this budget. So we have got letters of support from all of our legislators. And this will be determined, I believe, September 16th.
That was my next question.
I believe it is.
September 16th should be the LSA grant that we applied for last year. So on that same timeline, it would be sometime kind of middle to late next year, most likely. But
Okay.
these are very political in nature. A lot of times it comes out depending on what's going
Well,
on
I just like them, yeah.
at the time. But yeah, I'd say most likely we would anticipate that this would be more of a year of award sometime in 2025. Construction won't be until 2026.
If we're awarded.
So yeah, so in terms of budgeting purposes, it would be a 2026 most likely
Got it.
budget.
Thank you for clarifying that.
Michelle, what are those cross streets again, please?
So it'd be McCready, William Penn, Churchill, and then the light and Wilkins, which is Brown.
And
I don't know the name of it now. But it's whenever.
down
Wilkins
is really
turns to
changed.
Brown.
Yeah. That's the Wilkes.
Yes.
Follow-up question regarding Beulah and Brady. Those lights have not been operating for quite some time, right? And has there been any conversation or follow-up with PennDOT about removing those lights? Because we just talked about how expensive traffic lights are and there's going to be ongoing maintenance. So has there been any conversation about removing those traffic lights, being that the traffic has been functioning without the lights operating?
Yeah, to my knowledge, I know when it's been brought up to them before that it is a permitted light, and in order to have that permitted light removed, you'd have to have significant rationale. I don't know to what extent that is. I'll make sure to talk with the traffic engineer that's been involved with that.
Yeah, thank you. Any other discussion? All right, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? And the motion carried. And then we'll move on to our discussion items. We'll start with our engineer.
So I did provide engineer report, should be in your packet. Just a couple of items to point out is that the PRP project in Bullet Pens Park, that is well underway, expected to be completed at the beginning of September. And that's to satisfy your MS4 PRP requirements. That MS4 report will also be submitted at the end of September. That's an annual report that's required there. And then also regarding the paving program, that contract have been awarded. At this point, it's expected the contract should start early September.
You? I know Rob was on. I can't think. Don't think so. All right. Our solicitor,
No report, ma'am.
thank you. Michelle Ashley.
Nothing additional.
Thank you. And I'll move now on to council, if anybody, council members have anything to say regarding their committees. Or any updates that they would like to give.
The Woodland Hills School District has resumed. A lot of schools are now back in session, so, you know, my prayers are with all the parents who are getting up early and you. And, so I will be resuming my attendance at the school board meeting and will be reporting information that I think is important for residents.
Great, thank
Thank
you.
you. With that, as days get shorter, please be careful because kids are at bus stops now. So please be careful. Yeah.
Very, very dark.
Oh, I want to say.
Yeah, please say.
We haven't had a meeting since our community day, and I just want to thank the rec board, all the volunteers, and also all of the residents who came out on August 10th. It was a picture perfect day. It was so great to see everybody, and I just think it, you know, every year we say this was our best one, but I really think this was our best one. And exciting that in Woodland Hills, we were on the cover from our community day. That balloon guy is really popular, by
Yeah.
the way. And then there's a full page spread of all the pictures. But again, I just want to especially thank the rec board and the volunteers. It's nice to have Paul on the microphone greeting everybody, and it just really was a terrific event. So,
Thank you. Anybody else?
I always gotta check.
Yes, please do.
All my list of those was exactly what Brooke said about school being in session. We gotta be mindful. And the kids that are out catching the bus in the morning. And I'm not sure whether they're gonna change the daylight saving, reading back and forth. But when it starts getting dark, these kids are outside.
Yep,
When
right.
it's dark.
Yeah.
Especially be mindful for the kids when they're standing on the.
and they're little.
Kind of, yeah. It only makes sense when you keep, it's all more kids stand on the corner, load up. So drive safely. Just wanted to mention that up till now, my recent account was 470 welcome packets have been delivered to different residents around the borough. I still have a few more to get out there. I tell residents, if I haven't met you yet, then I didn't forget about you. I will make it to your house. And also for our residents, you know, be patient as our road crews are out there doing some major repair work, not just little potholes. They're digging out big patches. So, you know, be a little bit patient with that. When you're coming down, you gotta wait, to get around. And again, well, when Deb mentioned the community today, a lot of positive comments about it.
Thank you, Bob. I have a couple of things to say, a little bit about Churchill Community Day. One of the things that I liked this year that felt a little different than years past was local vendors. People that live in Churchill, neighboring communities that have their own small business, and being able to promote that with the community and the surrounding communities. I think that was really amazing to see. I love small businesses, so it was really nice to be able to see more of that and people connecting with neighboring communities. So thank you for that. Another thing that I want to say is that we do not have a meeting next Monday because it is Labor Day. So we'll be having it the day after. So just a reminder for everybody online here too. And all in that to say, please enjoy your long weekend, stay safe, stay cool. It has been pretty hot this week compared to last week. So please take care of yourself and everybody have a great evening. Thank you so much. Thank you. Meeting adjourned. Anybody want to motion that? All right, cool. All done. Thank you all. Have a great evening. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night, all.
Thanks, Gavin.